Good evening. Good evening. What's happening? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. What's happening? Good to see everybody jumping on for another night. Time to get together for some let's talk confidence. We're going to talk confidence some more. We've been talking confidence all week long. Orle Rose. Hope I pronounced that correctly. Good to see you, Catherine King. Lively, lovely Lenny. Good to see you, Diamond Girl. Muhammad 3K. Good to see you. Doll Rose. Hey, Raquel. Hey, Gigi. Good to see everybody. So, again, I told you this year is all about making a great impact. And so we're streaming everywhere: YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere. So, we're going to talk tonight for a little bit, jumping on a little later than I wanted to because I was in another meeting. But I'm going to talk some confidence, and I'm fired up tonight about it. And I have some questions for you. First of all, I want to know if you have been writing down, taking notes, getting your vision together, right? Have you actually been putting in the work to get your vision down, so that you have a direction in which to go? And the question I have a question. I wanted tonight to really be interactive, and ask you the question: what is it that you want? Right? Sometimes when we're looking at developing our confidence and looking at becoming the leader that is within us, we have this opportunity to provoke ourselves, to move ourselves with questions. It is okay to question yourself. And I've been sharing with you part of my story and how I've gone through different phases of life and development. And one of the questions that I've had to ask myself was, what do I want? What do I really want? And that question has the power. Hey, Stephanie, that question has the power to really do something in your life, because oftentimes we are going through life. Right? We're just going through life, right? Life is happening, but we're not actually leading. We're just responding to what happens. And yeah, we might stumble across, some moments that are, that make us feel good, and that might, build us up for a little bit. But if we're actually operating without a clear understanding of what it is that we really want, I guarantee you we are missing out on the fulfillment that life could afford us. There is a greater level of fulfillment. There is a greater level of joy. There's a greater level of experience that we can have in this life if we would dare to ask ourselves and answer the question, what do I want? I mean, like, what do you want without filter? What do you want when you're not just saying the right things? I'll give you some examples. I've shared with you, pastor's kid, grew up in church, been around the Christian community for all of my life, really. And sometimes when you're in a particular environment, the dialogues and the conversations, no, not just sometimes, all of the time. When you're in an environment, the dialogue and the conversation will be shaped by that environment. And so let's say as a person that grew up in church, grew up around the Christian community, I realized that there were certain things that were being said that didn't necessarily sit well with me, right? And like there was the absence of things being said that didn't sit well with me. So as it pertained to like relationships, for instance, I noticed that there would be a common kind of understanding that there were certain things that you just didn't talk about. There was really no real in-depth conversations about relationships, right? You didn't necessarily talk too much about sex and relationships too much. You didn't talk a whole lot about money. So these are some significant topics, but I wanted that. Like I want that dialogue. I want that conversation in my life. Right. And so I started, going out and pursuing that conversation. I wanted to know, if I was hearing about God, hearing about Jesus, right? I didn't want to be limited in any way in my life, because what I read said, hey, you know what? There's an opportunity to live and enjoy life and have rich relationships. And so I decided, I really want that without filter. And if that manifests itself in something nice material, that's great. If that manifests itself in an incredible romance and love, that's fantastic. I want that. I want that. If the best of the best is available, I don't want to talk myself out of it. And I was that person for a while. And so when you go through your circumstances, you go through your situations, and like I told you, I've been sharing with you, when you hit rock bottom and you hit that low place, that is a great place to begin asking yourself what it is that you really want. Because listen, I told you, I'll share the Bible and I talk about it, but I talk about it from a standpoint of relationship. Because relationship is what I enjoy. Okay, so relationship means a lot to me. And when I looked at the Bible away from what just religion itself said, I looked in the very first chapter and it said, oh, mankind was made in the image and likeness of God. I was like, wait a second. That right there, that did something for me. When I was at rock bottom, when I was brokenhearted and hurt, I read it before, but it became real to me how I was supposed to be in this earth, on this world. Like, okay, no, I'm made in the image and likeness of God. Like, hold on. Let me now start to understand what that means. And so I took on an approach with just like I would with my natural dad. I look a lot like my natural dad. We have the same kind of build, and he's bald headed. I'm bald headed. My grandpa was bald headed. Short, stocky, well put together. That's what we say, right? So we start to look through our lives and say, well, what is it that I really want? There's this passage in the Bible that says that God is the King of Kings. I'm like, wait, the King of all other kings? That means I'm a king? I want to look like a king. I want to operate like a king in my relationships with people, how I serve the world, how I go about conducting my business, how I go about handling my health, how I go about the way that I live and the way that I keep my home. I want to live as a king. Doesn't mean I necessarily had a palace, but wherever I was, I wanted to show up in my being as royalty. What do you want? What do you want in your relationships? What do you want in the way that you approach your business? I mean, your daily business, whether you work for yourself, whether you work for someone else, what do you really want? When you show up, what do you want someone to say about you? What do you want your presence to mean in terms of impact when you show up? What do you want? What experiences do you really want in life? Not the ones that someone just told you to have. Because a lot of times we can get that. Someone can tell us what we're supposed to have, right? So what is it that you really want? Orle Rose says, right now, I just want to be okay so I can be enough for my daughter after my son, her brother's passing this December. Listen to that. When you have the loss of a loved one, and my condolences go out to you. Thank you for sharing that. The loss of a loved one, I want to be enough. I want to be enough for my daughter. And so there's something that happened. There's a situation that happened, the loss of a loved one, that sparked I want to be enough. And so even out of that place of pain, there's a want. Place of hurt can produce a desire, a want. See, our brokenheartedness can speak too. When you go through an experience, and then if you're brokenhearted, you know what it can tell you? And I know this for a fact. It told me what I didn't want to live my life as. I knew I didn't want to live brokenhearted for the rest of my life. So I knew that I wanted wholeness, right? So your situations and your circumstances speak. Now, here's our responsibility as leaders. And the reason I say that we are leaders is because I believe that we're in this process of unpacking, and what I've been sharing all week of discovering, meaning not concealing the treasure that is within us. Right now, we have treasures that are within us that have been buried. But as leaders, when we begin to unpack the treasure that is within us, our leadership continues to develop because we have something to deliver. We have something to discover, and we have something to deliver in this world. How do I go through the grief of having everyone tell me to be strong for her? How do I go through the grief and have everyone telling me to be strong for her? See, let's talk about this for a second. As you're going through your process of transformation and change in your experiences, like I shared last night, there will be people that want to speak to your situation. They're going to want to touch your situation and handle your situation and tell you what to do. And they're going to want to have their it's the same as in sports when people are they're in the stands, and people in the stands always have something to say. They're the ones that will cheer you, they're the ones that will boo you. But you are in the game. You are in the moment. You are having to live your life. And so people, from their outside perspective, not being fully connected to where you are, not knowing 100% your experience that you're having a moment, they're going to make suggestions, tell you how to be. I'm going to suggest this. You be what you are, how you are in the moment, what you need to be. If that means you need to be in a place of grieving and sorrow and hurting because that's what you feel, that's where you need to be. I shared last night, as an athlete, if we get injured as athletes, no one expects us to perform at the same level with broken bones, because it's clear that there's some hurting that's happening. There's an injury that has happened. I shared that next week I'm going to go get surgery because I've had an injury that has been there in my life that I haven't taken care of. And because of the injury, I cannot perform at my highest level because I have an injury. I know that. And with that in mind, I modify. We have to make the modifications. Before we can go out and try to be strong for someone else, we need to be whole and complete in ourselves. We need to be able to be strong enough to be able to be in our moment and say, no, this is where I need to be. And this is how it's going to manifest itself at this time, because this is what I feel, and this is what I'm going through, and this is where I need to be. So I'm strong enough to tell you this is where I'm going to be. And so you go through it. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a person in our lives that we care about and love, that's not something we just breeze past. No. And it is unfair for someone to ask that of you. Loss should be grieved. Allow yourself that. Allow yourself the grace to grieve. Now, sometimes we're in a position where we're not in a place of grief, and we're in a place where we have perhaps gone through some things, or we're in a place where we feel energized. And we're like, no, I feel strong. I'm ready to go. In both places, you're presented with the same question, though. What do you want? Are you ready? Are you really ready to declare what you want? Because if you want to grow your confidence from now forward, start to be able to articulate what you want. Articulate what you want. And here's what you do. You not only articulate it once, but you keep on talking about it. You keep on talking about it and you keep on talking about it. Here's why: because faith comes by hearing. So when you begin to speak about what you want and you begin to rehearse it in your own hearing, faith is growing. And faith meaning that faith is what you do when you take action for what you hear and what you believe. Faith says, and now I do something. Faith produces work. Because I've heard this, because I'm hearing this, I'm doing something about this, and now I'm going to see this. Faith, I can do this, says I'm going to do this. Faith comes by hearing. And guess what? The power that is within your voice, within your ability to communicate, that power is the power of life, or it can be the power of death. And so what we have the power to do is create faith, create action based upon the power to produce life or the power to produce death. Sometimes, many times, we have convinced ourselves of something that is causing death in our life because we've rehearsed that. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not worthy. I'm unworthy. And so we have talked ourselves out of progression. We have talked ourselves out of accomplishment. We have talked ourselves out of fulfillment. I can't do that. I could never do that. Oh, no one in my family has ever done that. No. That stops now. Because what you are doing is actually building faith for the negative. You have now built so much faith that you will not take the action of progress. You are taking the action that is causing you to regress. See, either way, you're going to take action. When you decide what you want and you begin proclaiming it, you are going to take action. Don't ever think that, oh, I'm just not going to do anything. Even doing nothing is doing something. Doing nothing says I'm not doing what it would take for me to move forward. So right now, as life is moving forward, I'm standing still. I'm really not. I'm moving backwards. I am regressing. Because when you do not put effort and activity and motion into what you have, there's this thing with our bodies. When we don't use what we have, you know what happens? It's this thing called atrophy, which means your muscles begin to dwindle because they're not being used. And so your faith muscles for progression that are not being used will dwindle. They will dwindle. You will not have faith. You will not have the faith muscles to be courageous and confident and move forward and dominate life. Dominating life does not happen on accident. Let me just tell you, anything that you desire to see manifested in your life as a goal, as an aspiration, it is going to immediately bring conflict into your life. When you decide that you are going to a higher level, what you have decided to do is work against the gravity of life. You don't believe me? Climb a mountain. When you go higher, when you don't believe me, do a pull-up. When you decide that you are going to do a pull-up, when you are going to go from a lower level to a higher level to pull yourself up over a bar, you are going to be pulling against 9.8 meters per second squared. Gravity. When you decide you are going to that next level in life, you are going to be working against the gravity of your situations, the gravity of your past, the gravity of the abuse, the gravity of the failure. You are going to be going against the grain of all of that. And you can. Because guess what? And we call this, you know me, we call this rising in love. When we rise in love, we go from a lower place to a higher place in love. Love takes us to a higher place. This is why you will never hear me say, oh, you should go out and fall in love. No, you should never fall in love. Here's why. You might think this is so too technical, but let me just tell you, it makes a little sense. It takes no physical coordination to fall. Babies can fall. It actually, if you look up the definition, it's going to say that it requires uncoordinated effort. It's uncoordinated. You can fall without thinking about it. It's clumsy. It requires no coordinated effort to fall. So, with that in mind, in order to go to a higher level, in order to climb, you have to strategize that. You have to think about that. So, my question is, if you are going to climb for something, what is it that you want? What do you want? I mean, what do you really want? Do you want a house on a hill? Like, listen, what do you want materially? Let's just break this down for a second. And if you don't mind, if you have something, put it in the chat, because what you want might inspire somebody else to want something. You know what? Let me just tell you this. Let me share this with you. Sometimes we don't even know what we want because we've been in an environment so long that doesn't want anything that it's just stale. Have you ever been around someone or been in a circumstance or a situation and they had something that you had never experienced before, and then all of a sudden you said, "Ooh, I want that." Or somebody had an ice cream cone and it looked so delicious, it had sprinkles on it, and then like, "Oh, I want one too." Right? So, like, when you start thinking about what you want, start looking at your life and how you live. Okay, there are going to be material aspects of your life. You are going to perhaps wear clothes. You're perhaps going to wear shoes. You're perhaps going to live inside of a building. You might have something that's a form of transportation. It's okay to want something. Let me tell you, I'm about to make a confession. I'm going to make a real confession here right now. I'm confessing. I'm the kind of person that if you give me something or if I buy something, I'm going to take care of that thing for a long time. Right? And I'll keep something for a long time. I have this running kind of joke that even the bottoms of my shoes do not get dirty because I take care of them. Like, I strategize when I wear certain shoes. I'm like, "Oh, no, it's raining. I'm not wearing them." So I'll keep something for a long time. Now that's fine because it's a part of me being grateful for what I have, right? At the same time, I've realized that also can be an handcuffed. It can be a handcuff or it can be a chain that keeps me for aspiring for something more. And I'll settle sometimes. At times I have settled because I'm like, "Oh, this is good enough." I had a good enough mentality. And so for me, I had to make changes. I had to say, I'm tired of doing that. I'm tired of good enough. I'm tired of settling because there are things in my heart that I actually want that I would talk myself out of because I said, "Oh, this is good enough." I've shared with you all week that I want a Lamborghini. And you all, if you've been with me, you know why. I want a Lamborghini because when I was a young boy growing up and I had that poster of a white Lamborghini up on my wall, I wanted it because the doors opened up, they went up on the side, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. From that day to this, it hasn't changed. I want a Lamborghini because the doors go up. And it's a sports car. I like it. It looks cool to me. I really don't care about anybody else. I don't care like as social status, none of that. It was because the doors went up. So I have to say, I want that. Right? What do you want in your material? What do you want in your relationships? If you're going to be let's just go romantic here. If you're going to be in a romantic relationship, what kind of romantic relationship do you want? See, you don't just be in a relationship. If you are going to be in a relationship, what do you want out of it? Because here's the other side of that. Because what are you going to bring to it? See, if you want a romantic relationship that is warm and it has, it has the like physical affection or words of affirmation or gift giving. If you want all that, what are you willing to bring to it? Right? Do you want that? Do you know what you want? Have you read any books? Have you gone within to study yourself? I can look at my bookshelf and I have books about love and marriage and the power of a praying husband and 5 love languages and what else? 1 month to love. So when you start to do, this is where we start developing vision. You ask yourself, what do I want? I'm like, oh yeah, like I want affection. That's cool. That's high. That's high level. I want affection. Okay. Like, what kind of affection do you want? Oh, I want to hold hands. Okay. I want to hold hands while walking on the beach. Okay. I want to hold hands while walking on the beach at sunset in the Caribbean islands. Okay. And see, this is where we get to train our lives to come alive. When you start to really, this is how we create the vision. You keep going, like go deeper. Go deeper. Let me see what else you want. I want the affection. We're holding hands, walking on the beach in the the French Riviera or the Caribbean, and I want to kiss and kiss until we don't feel that our lips are separate. I want to kiss. If I'm going to kiss you, I don't want to just no. I want to kiss you in such a way that we both honor that we have exchanged breath. And that in that moment of a kiss, we leave that moment knowing that we exchanged breath and just a portion of one another has been exchanged. Like, listen, if you're going to be romantic, be romantic. Hopefully I just inspired somebody. We keep going. Right? If you're not excited to kiss, you might need to just like, hey, babe, we need to practice our kissing. I want to be better at just kissing you. I want to be better at hugging you. Right? I want to train myself to be present with you in the moment. Can we just practice just being in each other's embrace? Do you want that? See, everybody might not want that. Some people be like, "Oh, I don't want you touching all on me. Brian, get off of me. I don't want to hug all the time." Okay, you're probably not my person, right? But we start digging into it. What do you want? Material, relational. What do you want spiritually? Now, again, what I believe might not be what you believe. But I'm like, no. If I'm going to be in the Bible, I want a relationship with the God that I see, right? Again, it's my relationship. I'm not asking anybody else to participate in it. I want a relationship with the God that I see that says, I want it to be so real that like when I'm walking out the poop mountain and I'm going to dump manure, I just want to know that you're there with me. And I want to talk with you. I want to appreciate, because I think, oh, God created everything. I want to appreciate the creation. Thank you for this. I want to talk with you. I want to know your heart. When you say love people, I want to know your heart for loving people. And so my relationship with you spiritually, I want it to be such that it shows up and touches the lives of people. See, like I want it to be that when someone sees me, they could say, you know what? I don't really believe in God, but that man right there's something about him that is all right with me. It touches my life. I see love in him. Because my God says that people would know that I belong to him because of my love. So I want that. I want to be a vessel of love. That's when leadership is a matter of love. Right? Leadership, something that most people just think is, oh, you just go out there and you do it and you got people. No. Leadership is a matter of love. Wherever you're doing it. And so as we look at our lives, materially, relationally, spiritually, physically, like ask yourself, mentally, educationally, every area of your life, if you just start If you just dare to dream for a little bit and dare to be real with what you want, that has the power to change your life. You know why? Because when you really decide, I want something, and you begin to articulate it by faith, you begin speaking it into your own hearing, and your faith begins to grow for it, meaning that you're now taking action. You're going to be encouraged by what you see because what you want is actually what you are pursuing. By faith, you're like, wait, I'm actually convinced that I can do this. I'm actually convinced that this is within my capability because I'm moving. Like, we don't have to be so discouraged that when we open up the box, all the pieces of the puzzle are not together. We expect that. But when we dump it out on the table, because we have a vision, if you've looked at the front of the box, because we have a vision of what the puzzle can look like, we start going through the process. And none of us think that's strange. It's the process. Right now, we are working on these past few days, we have been working on putting the pieces of the puzzle together so that we can build the vision. A vision is that's that final piece. When it's all together, the process says, I'm working to put it together. This message is to encourage you. Don't worry that your puzzle isn't all together yet. Just work with the piece that you have. Do something with this piece. What's this piece? This piece might be your relationship with yourself. It might be your relationship with someone else. This piece might be, how are you handling your health? This piece might be, I've been holding on to this business for quite a long time. It's now time for me to do something about this. I need to get moving with this. Let me put this piece into the world. Let me put this piece into action. Let me get around somebody. Let me get a coach. The piece might be, I need to be accountable. I really need to be accountable because I've done a lot of things, but I keep kind of holding back on because I'm not accountable to anyone. And my lack of accountability is hurting me. So you can only go but so far. But if you're not accountable to someone, let me just tell you, you're holding your life back because we are meant to do life together. See, while we're looking at the pieces of our life's puzzle, we are all connected as pieces to one another. And there's a vision. See, if we really want to change the world, make the world a different place, when we start figuring out that if we connect to one another, we have more power. We bring a picture together of unity. You want to create unity? Connect with someone. Right? Simple enough. The reason that our world is lacking in unity is because people haven't connected to one another. Like, let's not try to change the world if we don't want to connect to the person that's next to us. Let's not try to talk about impacting the world if we don't want to just put forth the effort in our community. Like, come on now. If you're not willing to really connect with someone, don't expect unity in the world because we are not unifying. It's simple. What you want is what is needed to get you moving. What do you want? I said, this year, I am going to help more people discover and deliver their purpose than ever before in my life. So what I want, I said, okay, so how am I going? See, here's how this works. I'm like, all right, I want to help more people discover and deliver their purpose for their lives. So then I asked myself, so what can you do to get what you want? If I want to help more people, what can I do? All right, what do I have? What do I have as a resource in my hand? Oh, I have a phone. Oh, I have some social media accounts. What can I do? I can start talking. I can start sharing. I can start. See, not the finish. I'm not at the finish. I'm at the start. I can start doing this. I didn't need to take months and months and months and months to decide to go live. I didn't create some marketing plan and like pay for advertisements. And no, I just turned on my phone and hit live. If you can see my setup right now, this is not some major broadcast studio. No, I'm gonna describe it to you. I have a cam, a webcam. That's how I'm streaming onto YouTube and into my Facebook groups. So I have, hey, there's my daughter. Hey, Samantha, good to see you. I love you. So I always love that my daughter will be a part of these moments, right? It is a big deal to me that my daughter will listen when her dad speaks, right? It's a big deal. Why? Because that's what I want. I want to be able to be a voice that my daughter would say, I'll listen to my dad. My dad can say something into my hearing that will that will help me move my life forward. I'm glad that she's not. Now she's like, oh my gosh, my dad, I don't want to hear him. Now she has told me I was cringy on some of my videos, and we had to work through that. She had to school me. But that she would show up and listen, that's a big deal. Why? Because that's what I want. And so as we talk about what we want, I was going to the setup. So I have a little, webcam, I have that stream in one place. I have a couple phones set up. One's going to TikTok, one's going to Instagram. Please, this is not some major broadcast studio. I have some ring lights, right? And I have them set up because here was what I decided. It's going to be more important for me to show up than it is for it to be like some major production studio. What's more important? It's more important for you to show up for what you want. Like, you look, let me put this to you like this. You will never be attractive if you don't take action. Because action is attractive. It's when you're moving and you're taking action that things start happening around you, that energy is created around you, and it is attractive because now you said, I am adding something to the world. When you add something to the world gives something back to you because now you're making an exchange. Do you get that? When you take action, whenever you take action on something and you're adding something to the world is going to exchange and give you something back. Why? For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. As you give, you're also receiving. And so your action is attractive. And the reason our lives get stuck is because we are selfish. We're so busy worried about ourselves. How am I going to look? Are people going to laugh at me? I don't think I am ready. I this, I that. We are selfish. It's all about us. We're not taking any consideration for the person that needs our gift. We're worried about us. Oh, when I go ahead and after I do this, then I'll finally be ready. No. That's a stalling technique. That's putting it off to tomorrow. One day I'm going to start my business. All right, well, what day is it? One of the ladies in the text community, I have a text community, I send out encouraging text messages. So one of the women in the text community, she's going to go skydiving in Dubai. And so I'm like, when are you going to do it? Put it on the calendar. Put your date on the calendar for what you're going to do. Because even if you don't have $1 into your name and you said, one day I'm gonna take a cruise around the world. You don't have to have $1 in your name to want that. You may not own have a single buck. You say, I'm gonna take a cruise around the world. Don't just say one day. Say March 3rd, 2025. I'm gonna take a cruise around the world. Because now at least you have a date that you're moving to. Not just one day. Stop one day in your life, because today is the day that should have been the answer to the one day from a long time ago. But you never made a date. So no more one days. Don't one day yourself. Look at that. Teacher Boy 74, March 3rd is the birthday. I'm March 15th. We got to celebrate. Right? So as we think about this, like as you start thinking about your life, if you want to become confident and really be confident in this year, want something. I dare you. I dare you to want something. You want to be confident? Do you really want to be confident? If you want to be confident, then want something. Identify what you want. Start articulating that you want it. Get around it. Learn about it. I want a Ford. I want a white Ford F-250. Do you know what I do? I go to the Ford dealer and I go and, look at Fords, the F-250s. I'm learning about them, right? Guy told me, he's like, you probably don't really even need a Ford, F-250. I'm like, but that's what I want. So I want that. But I did see a black one. I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe that. I talked about like cars because I like them. But I also want to impact more people's lives this year than I ever have in my life. Soon I'm going to put a number on it. Like, I want to help 100 people achieve their dream in the first quarter of 2022. Right? So achieve it or start it. Like, no, we're going to take massive action and see progress, like for real. Like no more. I want to, I'm going to start my business this year. No, we're going to start it in Q1, quarter one. I want to go on a date this year. Okay. No, all right. We're going to set it up. We're going to let's get back and let's do that. I want to bring in an extra $500 into my house this, every month. You see what I'm saying? Like we're going to say what we want, and then we're going to take action. And then there's accountability, because there will be 99 other people that say, no, I heard you say it too. And here's the power of this, because when you get into the room with some other people, you'll find out that somebody else knows some stuff. And they'll say, oh, yeah. I know how to do that. Yeah, I can help you. See, when you want something, someone can help you. This is how this works. What you want is going to place a demand on someone else's gift. There's a gift within me that operates when someone says, I want something. Because I said, okay, let's go. Let's discover this so that you can deliver this. Because hope deferred makes the heart sick. When we've been deferring so much hope in our lives, and I'm getting ready to shut this down. We've been deferring so much hope in our lives. That is why we are sick. We made ourselves sick by deferring hope. Some of us haven't seen hope in so long. We're like, I don't even know what hope looks like. I wouldn't know what hope looks like if it punched me in the face right now. Hope Hope being deferred makes the heart sick. So what do? Now we have to, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I know you're like, Brian, but I failed a lot of times. All right, that's okay. Those are tries. Those are swings. I played baseball. Do you know how many times I struck out? A lot. One of the worst feelings is to be in a situation where we have these things in baseball. It's called a rally, where you're getting a lot of hits. And so people get up to the plate and they're getting hits and your teammates are getting hits. One of the worst things is to be in that situation. You get up to plate. There are 9 people that get to bat in the inning. You get up and you make an out. All right, well, you got 1 out. Everybody else is getting up. They're hitting. They're getting hits. And you get up again and you make the second out in the same inning. I've done this before. Oh, that's a bad feeling. You're like, wait a second. Everybody's getting hits and I got out twice. You only get 3 outs in the inning. I made 2 of the 3. I made 66% of the outs. Sometimes life feels that way. Sometimes life feels that way. Sometimes it feels like you're always the person that's making the outs. And then something happens. You're in the environment, and the environment becomes contagious to you. Like, okay, wait. So many good things are happening. I got in on it. Sometimes you just got to be around it. Got to just be around it. You just need a different atmosphere. You need to stop hanging out with those people who are always talking negatively about love, because you want an amazing, incredible, heartfelt, deep, sexy, whatever relationship, romantic relationship. You want it. So stop hanging around the people that all they talk about are breakups and negativity and who did them wrong. Stop talking. Don't talk to them. They're only polluting your atmosphere. Don't talk to them. Get away from them. Tell them, like, you know what? I actually can't hang out with you because our visions do not align. And how can 2 walk together unless they have agreement? We don't have agreement. We have disagreement. And so your negativity, it can impact my positivity. Let me just tell you something. Chaos disturbs peace. Peace has to work a whole lot harder to disturb chaos. Think about it. You just sitting there relaxing and somebody comes in with pots and pans, banging them. Chaos. Now, they banging pots and pans and you walking with peace. It takes a lot longer to try to calm chaos down. So let me just tell you, keep your dreams out of the atmosphere of dream killers. And that's what those people are. Dream killers. So break out a piece of paper. Write down what you want. Write it down big and in red, bold. Don't just like minimize it. Right? Like, write it big. Matter of fact, we got to get this thing. See, I told you I just jumped on and started doing this, but we're going to have to go to the next level because we're going to have to start giving some feedback. I'm going to start writing people's stuff down, putting them up on the wall, hold you accountable. I'm going to have an accountability wall. Right? Tom Bird 85 said, I don't know what I just walked into, but it makes sense. I'm glad that you're here. We're talking vision. We're talking creating confidence and discovering the treasure that is within us so that we can deliver it to the world. Right? Like, that's what it is. You're going to hear me tell you over and over and over again. I believe that there is something great inside of you. It could be a business. It could be a ministry. It could be a relationship. Like, I believe that there are people on this live right now that have great romances. Yeah, you might have been through a divorce. Your stuff might have been jacked up. Don't let that make you think that that's the end of you. I've been through a divorce. I still have some great love in me. I have some great romance in me. Guess what? I still dream. I'm still dreaming. I still dream about the romance. I've had businesses fail. I'm still dreaming. I'm still dreaming of succeeding in businesses and more businesses to come. Right? Like, listen, I failed in every area of life. I'm thinking, as it pertains to my health, I fell off the wagon before, right? None of that stuff has stopped you from breathing. All right. None of it has stopped you from breathing. You're still alive right now. And so in this moment, you have an opportunity to decide what you want. What you want does not have to be what you had. What you want does not have to be what you had. You are entitled to think of and want something different. You are entitled and able to want something more. So I know you might have to take a moment and kind of just refresh your mind with that and sit with that. You might have to wrestle with that a little bit, because this idea, depending on who you've been around, that you don't need all that. It doesn't take all that. You're too high maintenance. Why you want that kind of romance? Why do you need that kind of car? Why do you need to live in that neighborhood? Why do you need to have so much money in your bank account? Because this is what I want. Because this is what I want. Right? Because let me just say, because I have looked in my car, in the seats, trying to find change, like, I think I'm entitled and fully within my right to say, yeah, no, I don't want to go back to that. So I want generational wealth. I want to do something that not only impacts now, but it impacts the future generations. And you know how to do that? Like, the more impact that I can have on other people to help people get to their want. Do you know what happens in your life when you help other people? Then there's an exchange that's made. You give them a hamburger, they give you $1. What? There's nothing wrong with that. And so for somebody, you might be struggling with the idea of being financially wealthy because of your background or what people have told you. I want you always to keep this in mind. If you are not willing to limit yourself in the number of people that you are willing to help, do not limit yourself on how you're going to be financially compensated. Because let me just tell you, the more you help people, the more people are going to say, oh yeah, thanks, that was so good, I just paid for that. Just like at the movies, at ball games, at Chick-fil-A, at the Apple store. Because they are helping a lot of people, we as people give money for the service. We give money for the product. It's okay. It's a natural, it's just an exchange. It's just someone's way of saying thank you. So if you're going to help people, well, they're just going to say thank you and let it be okay. Stop pushing people away that want to thank you and compensate you for what you do. You are brilliant. You are brilliant. You are a genius. You have such great worth and value in what you do. You have been uniquely talented. You have been through experiences. Just get over it. It's time for you to dominate life and dominate this idea that you are supposed to be broken. No more. You deserve to, because you've held out for a great romance, you deserve to have it. Why? Because you held out for that. You deserve to be compensated. It doesn't matter what your gender is, no, you deserve to be compensated because you're brilliant. So just go ahead and settle into that and start expecting that and start saying that I want to be compensated for my brilliance. I want to be compensated for my efforts. I want to be compensated for a job well done. I want to be compensated for that. I want to be loved and hugged and appreciated in such a way that when someone holds me, that I know that I'm loved. Yes, you've held out for that. You deserve that. I'm getting off this. We're shutting this down. But let me just tell you, you deserve that thing that you've held out for. You deserve that standard to be met because you held out for it and you were unwilling to settle for less. You deserve that. You were willing to work yourself and develop yourself and hold yourself and keep your virtue high. You deserve that. You held a standard. You deserve for your standard to be met and to be exceeded. There's this great passage in the Bible that says that our God can do exceeding and abundantly above all that we ask and think. So just imagine that and ask and think bigger. Whatever your greatest dream is right now, I'm going to encourage you to ask and think bigger than that. Just so you can get into the practice of unlimiting yourself. Get into the practice of just stop restraining yourself. Just get into the practice. Dream bigger. It's okay. It's just you're developing muscles of faith. Just get okay with it. Like, it's okay. You can't talk to everybody because some people are dream killers. But just get into the habit. I want greater love in my life. I want to give greater love in my life. I want to make a greater impact in the world. It's okay to go bigger. It's not all about you. No. But there is some in there for you. But it's okay. I want to do more in this world to make a difference. I want to give more of my gift. I want to learn how to develop my gift even more. I want to be more skilled. I want to take my talent and take it to another level. Every time you see me, I'm practicing. I do these videos and sometimes I look at them and I wonder, did I pause long enough? Ooh, I used a verbal filler. Practice. I want to practice communicating well because I believe my words can touch someone's life and change it forever. So I want to be skilled with my words. Be skilled with whatever is in your possession. Your talent, your time, your love, your affection, your strategies, whatever you have to give. If you're going to give it, be skillful. And want that. Want to be skillful. So, 10:29. Let's get ready to shut it down. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to do what I do. And I'm going to just pray a prayer of a blessing. Like I always say, you don't have to believe what I believe. This is just my way of speaking well into your life. So please accept it. And see, there was a verbal filler. That was a verbal filler. That's something I would have went back on replay, watched, and just, there's a verbal filler. But just please accept it. So, Father, thank you for this day, and thank you for the opportunities to be together. Thank you for all of these incredible people that have joined here in this moment to be together. They've brought their brilliance, and they have shared their time and their life. They have encouraged one another, and they have added to this community, this exceptional community of people that are called and purposed and equipped to make an impact on this world. I thank you for these life and world changers. I thank you for the brilliance that is within them in terms of business and ministries and relationships and whatever aspect of life they choose to apply themselves to. I thank you for them showing up there. I thank you that you have met us in this moment and you have allowed us to partake in words of life, words that build us up and not tear us down, words that give us hope in a future. Thank you for your love meeting us here. And thank you for all of these that have poured love into this moment. I pray blessings upon them. I pray that as each one goes forward into the world to make that impact, to serve their gift, to serve their talent, to serve their ability, to align with the purpose of their life, I pray that blessings would flow. I pray that great things would happen, not only for them, but in their families, in their homes, and in their communities. I pray that what they do prospers as they make an impact on this world and cause it to change for good. I pray healing and blessings upon those that need it. I pray comfort for those hearts that are broken. I pray for those that are mourning and going through times of sorrow. I pray that these words in this time provided some level of comfort for them. And I pray that while the mourning lasts now, the mourning will not last always, and that the beautiful exchange will be made, and they will have joy for their mourning, that they will have healing for that place of brokenness, and that life will look different and feel different when the appropriate time comes. So I thank you for the healing process that's happening. And I pray that as we go our separate ways, that you would be with us and bring us back together at an appointed time. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you for allowing me to pray for you. So a verbal filler is where I'll make a noise where I'll say, or I'll just use something that's not really a word, and it's just filling up that dead airspace because I didn't have anything to say and I might be rushing. So typically if I do it, it'll be, and I try to pay attention to that. So Josh Production, how can you pray for me? You can pray for me. There it is again. It's me thinking and wanting to talk before thinking. As I prepare for surgery, just please, you can pray for me in that way, that the surgery and the process goes well, and that on the backside of the surgery that I recover well. That would be big. It impacts life, getting the surgery, and I'll be down probably for a solid month, they told me, so I won't be able to do much at the farm. But at the same time, I'm excited about that, because what it's forcing me to do, my surgery is next Wednesday on the 12th. So what it's forcing me to do in a different kind of way is use my mind and not always just be busy. So it's actually a positive in it too. And the blessing of it will be that I believe that I'll be able to serve even more this way. And I have some things in mind that I'll be sharing probably early next week, some opportunities and whatnot. So I appreciate that. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you asking. I appreciate you all that are already praying and sending the positive vibes my way. And we're going to work it out. So you all have a fantastic evening. Thanks for being here. I look forward to doing this again. Don't just leave this moment and not really sit and think about what you want. All right. Please do that, because let me just tell you, this is the only way this works. Your desire to grow and discover and deliver, it works together in harmony with my desire to serve. And so I'm looking for those people. I want to know, who are those people, because that's where I get to work. That's where I get to serve. I get to be on someone's team. I get to lift them and propel them and help. So that's what we're going to do. I appreciate you all. So have a fantastic evening. I'm B.A. Shepherd, 2Ps ARD, reminding you to be a shepherd. The world has enough sheep. Thanks for being here. Love you much. See ya.